Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Bengals Breakdown here on Bengals.com. I'm Dan Hoard. He is Bengals.com editor Geoff Butch Hobson. This Sunday, the Bengals head to Oakland, trying to beat the last team they beat last year, the Oakland Raiders. This will be the last time the Bengals will play at the Black Hole, unless Oakland gets another NFL team someday, which isn't likely, but they'll be in Vegas next year. So this is it.
This is, and probably Bengaldom is going, thank God. They hadn't won there going back to 68 or 69. They hadn't won there until the opener in 2015. Something always significant happens, it seems like, when they play out there. Your estimable partner, Dave Lapham, I can tell you about the game in '75. Paul Brown's last game had the Raiders on the run, a great Raiders team on the run, and just a couple of sacks by the Stork, Ted Hendricks. Took him out of it. It was PB's last game. And then just fast forward to '09, just talking about time of possession. Bengals had the ball 38 minutes, that really good '09 team. If they win, they probably get a bye in the playoffs. Got beat by someone named Bruce Gradkowski, who always seems to surface in Bengals lore at the end of the game. They had the ball 38 minutes and get beat. Then, of course, last time was their only win out there. The coming out of Tyler Eifert, I believe he had 2 touchdowns. He'll talk to you about the contact high he got on the bench from some of the items that were being smoked in the black hole. And but that was his coming out party. Bengals won, beat up Derek Carr. Adam Jones, I believe, knocked Derek Carr out of the game, and it spurred him to an 8-0 start. So something always significant happens there, and I imagine that the last time out there, something weird is going to happen.
Well, hopefully the something significant will be their first win of the season. To get it, it'd be nice to see Joe Mixon have a great game again after running for 114 yards last week. This is a homecoming for Joe. He's from that San Francisco Bay Area, and obviously he would love to go home and have a big game.
Yeah, his dad grew up a Raider fan. He was a Niner fan. Joe was a Niner fan, so they've been kind of kidding each other, the last couple of weeks. His dad said, give me something to be mad about during the off season, but obviously he'll be all for Joe. Joe figures he's going to have about 100 people there, by the time you get done with family and friends, and hopefully they'll see another 100-yard effort. It seemed like the Bengals realized they've got to get, A.J. Green, we don't know when he's going to play. Joe Mixon's their next best player. And I think that's kind of dawned on them the last couple of weeks in London against the Rams, certainly against Baltimore, career high, 30 carries. It's the first time in 10 years that a Bengals back has carried it that often. Jim Turner this week talked about fixing up the run scheme. They've changed it. So I think that it seems like Joe is going to get some heavy work, especially with Ryan Finley's first road start. And, of course, they go against old friend Paul Guenther, former Bengals defensive coordinator, who knows him pretty well, but they probably know him better than Paul knows them, because this is a completely different offense than it seemed, than obviously it was 2 years ago. So some familiar faces. Joe goes home, and Paul Guenther faces his old team.
And Paul Guenther's defense has been up and down this year. They've given up 24 or more points in all but 2 of their games. Be nice if the Bengals could combine Joe Mixon's running with some play-action deep balls. That was certainly missing last week in the loss to the Ravens. On the other side of the ball, the Bengals defense has had a lot of trouble against a couple of things in particular this year, stopping the run. And the Raiders have the leading rookie running back in the NFL in Josh Jacobs. He's on a pace to run for more than 1,400 yards this year. And then they have tight end Darren Waller, 3rd among NFL tight ends in receiving yards.
Yeah, that's a tough number coming off the game that the Bengals just had. They couldn't cover any of it seems like the Ravens had about 12 tight ends. I think 2 had some pretty big catches, in Andrews and Boyle. But they really beat up the Bengals in coverage. They obviously made a move here during the week. They cut Preston Brown. So after he got beat for a touchdown by Andrews against the Ravens. So obviously they need Jermaine Pratt, the rookie middle linebacker. They think he's pretty good against the run. They need him to improve against the pass. He got chewed up a couple times. The Jesse Bates play where Jesse gambled for the pick, missed the tackle. Pratt took the blame for that one because he didn't drop deep enough. So they're going to have to be on point against Waller. Clearly, the Raiders are going to pound Jacobs. Actually all I think the Raiders rookies, just not Jacobs. I think their rookie class leads all rookie classes in touchdowns. So it's going to be probably another key to the win. Probably what we're talking about. Brandon Wilson return. Big time of possession day from Joe Mixon. Turn around that Bruce Gradkowski game with a time of possession and win it.
Well, as I mentioned, the last Bengals win, December of last year against the Raiders. And if you go back to 1993 when the Bengals had their worst start in franchise history, the team that they finally beat in Game 11 was the Raiders. Maybe history of sorts will repeat at Oakland Alameda County Stadium, or Coliseum, I should say, a.k.a. the Black Hole.
It's
Geoff
vintage
Hobson.
Dan Hoard homework going back to '93. Vintage Dan Hoard
Thank
homework.
you. Appreciate that. For Geoff Hobson and our photographers Marissa Contepelli and Sina Grivey, I am Dan Hoard. Thanks for checking out Bengals Breakdown here on Bengals.com.